Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on the time you get to watch this. Welcome to Philosophy of Physics. We want to understand why the universe obeys mathematics. This is another video on philosophical challenging ideas that I think everyone should know. To start, right now, something extraordinary is happening above your head. The moon is falling towards the earth. It has been falling for a billion years, and yet it's never crashed into earth. At first glance, this sounds absurd. How can something be falling forever without ever hitting the ground of your feet? But this simple mystery helped to reveal one of the deepest truths ever discovered, that actually the universe follows laws, and physics is humanity's attempt to understand the laws that the universe does follow. Most people think that physics is about equations, it's about calculation, it's about difficult mathematics. But beneath all those, beneath calculation, mathematics, and equations, lies a deeper question. Why does reality behave in such an orderly way? Why does apple or a banana or a mango fall towards the ground? Why do planets keep orbiting stars? Like there are planets that orbit our star, the sun. Why does light travel the way it does? Physics is not merely measuring reality, even though modern physics is largely about measurement. Physics is about uncovering the hidden structures beneath reality. Long before laboratories existed, philosophers asked, what is the universe made up of? And this question now links somewhat to chemistry. Some said everything was made up of water. Others said it was made up of fire. Others imagined invisible atoms. Democritus was the first, it was an ancient Greek who came up with the idea of atomos, the indivisible particle, long before modern physics will talk about atoms. I just forget who was the scholar that actually modernized. I think it's Dalton. Yes, Dalton is the scientist who modernized the idea of atomos that came from the Greek. All the ideas of the ancient Greek were not accurate, but to details. But they were asking the right question. They wanted to know what lies beneath the appearance of reality that we see. What lies behind the matter that makes you? And that question eventually gave birth to what today we call physics. In the 17th century, Isaac Newton changed humanity's understanding of reality. He discovered something really astonishing. He discovered that the same force that pulled an apple to fall on the ground from the tree also keeps the moon in orbit around our earth. And he also discovered that the universe, and after that discovery, that heaven and earth were actually governed by the same laws. The universe began to look like it's a giant clock that was running according to mathematical principles. This discovery created a profound philosophical problem. If the universe follows precise laws, could everything be actually predetermined? If someone knew the position of every particle in the universe, some people wondered, could they predict the future completely? This idea became known as determinism. And suddenly, physics was no longer just about motion as Isaac Newton had envisaged. Now, it brought in the question of freedom, chaos, and the nature of reality itself. Then, it was not until much later that physics became even stranger. In the 20th century, Albert Einstein showed that time is not absolute. In fact, he showed that time and space were actually one and the same thing. Think about that. Most people assume that time flows from past, present to future, and it actually flows the same for everyone. But physics says otherwise. It says that time can slow down and time can speed up for some people. In fact, physics tells us that you can bend space. So the Earth as a planet is actually bending space. The sun, which is the biggest star in our planetary system, actually bends space. And gravity itself can actually distort both time and space. And that is something for you to wonder about. If space and time turned out that it's woven together into a single fabric called space-time, then you thinking about space and time separately is somehow misleading. And if you just think about it, you cannot be in a place outside time, and you can't be in time not in a place. So when you want to meet someone, you'll always talk about the place and time where you're meeting. In that way, you can see how the universe is strange than even philosophy can imagine. And now physics is not actually finished. At the smallest scale, reality becomes almost unbelievable. Electrons do not behave like tiny balls. They behave like probability. Particles can behave like a wave and at the same time be like a particle. And in that sense, observation appears to really matter, because when certainty can disappear and reappear, that really concerns us human beings that are used to observing reality from macro elements. And this pushes us to another realm of physics. Then physics discovered that the universe is not entirely predictable after all. The clockwork universe that we had thought or had imagined from Isaac Newton start to crack. Then there is something called energy. You use it every day. But what is that energy? You actually have energy to listen to me, to hold your phone, to even pick a call. What is that energy? What is it? We are able to study it. How do you study something that you don't know? What is it? Where is it? How is it? We are able to define it. We are able to measure it and even calculate. What is it that we are calculating? No one really has ever seen energy itself. We observe what it does. Physics often reveals a very strange truth. We understand reality by observing patterns more often than grasping the ultimate essence. And this leads us perhaps to the deepest mystery of all. Why does mathematics describe reality so well? Why should symbols created inside our human mind predict galaxies, black holes, atoms, and the expression or even the expansion of the universe? Why should the symbols that we created in our mind be possible for you to use it to measure land and carry the figure in your head as if it's real, like the piece of land? The physicist Eugene Wigner called this the unreasonable defectiveness of mathematics. No one fully understands why the universe is so deeply mathematical. Physics explains astonishing things. It explains the birth of stars, motion of planets, behavior of atoms, the age of, even it can explain the age of universe. But physics also confronts mysteries. It confronts the question, what happened before the Big Bang? Why do physical laws actually exist? In other words, why is our universe ordered? Why does it obey laws? Why does it happen in pattern? And why does everything exist at all? Why do we have something instead of nothing? It's possible that we could have had nothing, but we have something. What was there before something is the question that you want to know. At that point, physics begins to slide back again to philosophy once again, where it had been rescued by Isaac Newton. And the philosophy of physics now reveals something even remarkable, that the universe is actually intelligible. It follows patterns, structures, relationship, and mathematical laws. And somehow, a small species on a small planet became capable of discovering it's able to discover those laws. And that's what's remarkable about the human beings, our ability to do physics. As we speak, the moon continues falling around the earth. Light continues crossing the space, reaching you. Light travels 8 minutes from the sun to get to earth. Stars continues forging elements, and the universe continues obeying the laws that existed long before human beings appeared. And the greatest mystery may not be that the universe actually exists. It may be that the universe can actually be understood. Since we just appeared as part of the universe, it's wonder that human beings can actually study the universe. We can study physics, we can study chemistry, we can study biology, and we can even go beyond studying the physical world and study non-physical world, psychology, economics, sociology, anthropology, poetry, music. That's really a wonder. And therefore, to study physics is ultimately to ask why reality is ordered enough to be known by all of us. I hope you've enjoyed that video on philosophical challenging ideas that I think everyone should know.